Hello, good evening and welcome to World Today. This is a show where we get you all the updates that have come in through the day from all parts of the world. I'm Gautam Roy, and first up, a very happy Diwali to you all. The world is in fact celebrating Diwali with India today, and that is one of our top stories as well. We'll tell you all about it. Apart from Prime Minister Narendra Modi spending time Diwali day exchanging greetings and sweets with our troops on the border, close to the border, in fact in Nowshera in Rajouri district in Jammu and Kashmir. We'll get you all the updates on that as well, but first our headlines. Continuing the tradition of celebrating Diwali with Jawans this year too, Prime Minister Narendra Modi celebrates the festival with Army Jawans serving in forward areas at Nowshera in Jammu and Kashmir, pays tributes to martyrs. Diwali, the festival of lights, is being celebrated across the world. This year, fireworks lit up the sky over the Hudson River in New York as part of Diwali celebrations. Britain becomes the first country in the world to approve a potentially game-changing COVID-19 antiviral pill jointly developed by Merck and Ridgeback Biotherapeutics in a bid to boost the fight against the pandemic. South African author and playwright Damon Galgut wins the Booker Prize for his novel The Promise, about a white family's failed commitment to give their black maid her own home. It was Galgut's third nomination for the £50,000 English Language Literary Award. And Liverpool storms into the last 16 of the Champions League with a comfortable win over Atletico Madrid, finishes at the top of Group B. And now let's get you the big news of the moment. Prime Minister Modi spending time like he does every year at this time of the year with our Jawans in forward areas. Well, Prime Minister Narendra Modi was in Jammu's Nowshera to celebrate Diwali with soldiers. Meeting the Jawans on Diwali has been an annual tradition of the Prime Minister since he assumed office in 2014. This is Prime Minister Modi's second visit to Rajouri since 2019, when he had also celebrated Diwali with soldiers.
माता की
And the PM also paid tribute to martyrs in Nowshera in Jammu and Kashmir who sacrificed their lives in the line of duty. And the Prime Minister also visited an army museum in the sector. The PM also signed the visitors' book and later interacted with veterans as well in Nowshera. He also planted a sapling during his visit to the Nowshera sector. And addressing the soldiers in Nowshera today, the PM hailed their courage and bravery. Talking about the role this brigade played during the surgical strike, he said, it fills every Indian's hearts with pride.
सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक में यहाँ की ब्रिगेड ने जो भूमिका निभाई वो हर देशवासी को गौरव से भर देता है और वो दिन तो मैं हमेशा याद रखूंगा क्योंकि मैं तो तय किया था सूर्यास्त के पहले कि सब लोग लौट करके आ जाने चाहिए और मैं हर पल फोन की घंटी पर टिकटिका के बैठा हुआ था कि आखिर से आखिर मेरा जवान पहुंच गया क्या और कोई भी नुकसान किए बिना कि मेरे वीर जवान लौट करके आ गए, पराक्रम करके आ गए, सिद्धि प्राप्त करके आ गए। सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक के बाद यहां अशांति फैलाने के अनगिनत कुत्सित प्रयास हुए, आज भी होते हैं, लेकिन हर बार आतंकवाद को मुंहतोड़ जवाब मिलता है।
And the PM lauded the soldiers for guarding the borders even during festivals. He said there were many attempts to disrupt peace in that area, but each time a befitting reply has been given.
नौसेना ने हर युद्ध का, हर छद्म का, हर षड्यंत्र का माकूल जवाब देकर कश्मीर और श्रीनगर के प्रहरी का काम किया। आजादी के तुरंत बाद ही दुश्मनों ने इस पर नजर घड़ा करके रखी हुई थी। नौशेरा पर हमला हुआ, दुश्मनों ने ऊंचाई पर बैठकर इस पर कब्जा जमाने की कोशिश की और अभी जो मुझे पूरा वृत्त वीडियो समेत सारी चीजें मुझे देखना समझने का मौका मिला और मुझे खुशी है कि नौशेरा के जाबाजों के शौर्य के सामने सारी साजिशें थरी की थरी रह गई दोस्तों।
And later the Prime Minister also interacted with the bravehearts of the Indian Air Force and extended Diwali greetings at the Jammu airport. Well, that was what happened as far as Nowshera is concerned, but let's now talk about a grand event that is set to unfold tomorrow, where the stage is all set for Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Kedarnath visit. The holy place is witnessing development like never before, and several new projects for the ease of pilgrims are being constructed. Here's a special report from our correspondent Vishal Baristo from Ground Zero, giving insights into the Prime Minister's impending visit, which is tomorrow.
Behind the Kedarnath temple, I am here inside the Shankaracharya Samadhi Sthal, which the Prime Minister is going to inaugurate. This is around 13 feet tall black stone statue of Shankaracharya. We have reached on the top, and as you can see down there is the Shri Yantra. Now we will take a look at what's happening around. There's some of the construction work going on here also. The beautification process is on. This is Saraswati River, and the bridge that you see has been newly constructed by the PWD department. This bridge is for the pilgrims and tourists who would like to visit Bhairavnath temple, which is up there on the rock. Now all this is being done for the development of this place, for the betterment of the facilities that have to be provided, that should have been provided for the tourists, and this is all being done under the leadership of Prime Minister Narendra Modi. I am standing on the Astha Path, which is being constructed by JSW, and there the 5 sheds that you see, they are the ghats that have been newly constructed. So all is being done to provide better facility to the pilgrims. With cameraman Ajit, this is Vishal Baristo for DD India, Kedarnath.
So that's what is in store for tomorrow. It will be a grand event, and we will get you the updates of every moment as that event takes place and unfolds. Now let's get back to how Diwali is being celebrated, especially all across the world, not just in India. Well, the world is celebrating Diwali, which is the Festival of Lights. British Prime Minister Boris Johnson also extended greetings on Diwali. The UK PM in a video message said Britain would be a lesser country today without the huge contribution of Indians living there.
Hi folks, it's Boris Johnson here wishing everybody a very happy Diwali. The lights are on in Leicester's Golden Mile, the samosas and sweet treats are being handed out, and people are taking in all the wonderful sights, smells and sounds that make this festival so luminous and exciting. And of course, running through this occasion is the central message of good over evil, hope over despair, knowledge over ignorance, an uplifting message that I believe we can all take to our hearts. And to British Indians, for whom this festival means so much, I want to express my personal admiration and respect for everything you do for our country. So, to everyone celebrating Diwali here in Britain and around the world, I want to wish you all a happy Diwali and a joyful and successful New Year. Shubh Diwali.
And on the other side of the Atlantic, United States lawmakers have introduced a Deepavali Day Act, a legislation that would make Diwali a nationally recognized holiday there. Led by Congresswoman Caroline B. Maloney, the historic legislation has been co-sponsored by a number of lawmakers, including Indian Americans. In her statement, Maloney said that Diwali celebrates the victory of light over darkness and that it symbolizes their nation's continuing fight against COVID-19. Also this year, all-American Diwali is being celebrated at the iconic World Trade Center in New York City from the 2nd to the 4th of this month. As part of All-American Diwali 2021, fireworks lit up the sky over the Hudson River on Wednesday night. And the United Nations has also extended Diwali greetings to all those who are celebrating. In a tweet, that is the message that the United Nations has sent out, and it's in Hindi as well as English. Let's now take you across to Mumbai, where Muhurat trading is taking place on the occasion of Diwali. That is also quite a tradition, and it is supposed to be very, very auspicious, especially for those who deal in equity markets.
व्यवहार में नौकरी धंधे में बरकत आए, इसके लिए बहुत बहुत प्रार्थनाएं।
तो बॉम्बे स्टॉक एक्सचेंज में एक विशेष ट्रेडिंग सत्र का आयोजन किया जा रहा है और मुहूर्त
That was of course from Mumbai at the Bombay Stock Exchange, where Muhurat trading was going on. It's a ritual really on Diwali, and it's supposed to be auspicious for everyone who dabbles in the equity markets, for all the brokers and traders and everyone. This is a very, very special occasion. Let's now take a look at the updates that have been coming in on the COVID-19 situation from across the world. Well, COVID-19 continues to batter the world with the number of cases rising in several countries, including Russia and China. So far, the virus has infected more than 24 crore 87 lakh people across the world. The number of recoveries from COVID-19 have crossed 22 crores 53 lakh worldwide, while the fatalities now stand above 50 lakh 36,000. The US remains the worst affected with higher number of cases and death toll. The country has over 4 crore 70 lakh cases and has lost more than 7 lakh 70,000 lives so far to COVID-19. Now, Britain became the first country on Thursday in the world to approve a potentially game-changing COVID-19 antiviral pill jointly developed by Merck and Ridgeback Biotherapeutics in a bid to boost the fight against the pandemic. The Medicines and Healthcare Products Regulatory Agency recommended the drug molnupiravir, and it's recommended for use as soon as possible following a positive COVID-19 test and within 5 days of the onset of symptoms. This is the first oral antiviral treatment for COVID-19 to get approved, with the green light coming ahead of potential US regulatory clearance. US advisors will meet this month to vote on whether molnupiravir should be authorized. The drug, to be branded Lagavrio in Britain, has been closely watched since data last month showed it could halve the chances of dying or being hospitalized for those most at risk of developing severe COVID-19 when given early in the illness. The British government and the country's National Health Service will confirm how the treatment will be deployed to patients in due course. Last month, Britain agreed to a deal with Merck to secure 480,000 courses of molnupiravir. In a separate statement, Merck said it was expecting to produce 10 million courses of the treatment by the end of this year, with at least 20 million set to be manufactured in 2022. The US-based drug maker's shares were up 2.1% at $90.54 before the market opened. Also, good news at the home front as well. Covaxin, the made in India COVID-19 vaccine manufactured by Hyderabad-based Bharat Biotech, got the World Health Organization's approval for emergency use listing, or EUL. The World Health Organization, or WHO, on Wednesday granted approval for emergency use listing to Bharat Biotech's Covaxin vaccine for COVID-19. The WHO said in a tweet that the technical advisory group convened by WHO and made up of regulatory experts from around the world has determined that the Covaxin vaccine meets WHO standards for protection against COVID-19, that the benefit of the vaccine far outweighs risks, and the vaccine can be used, unquote. And another tweet said, excuse me, and I quote again, Covaxin vaccine has also been reviewed by WHO's Strategic Advisory Group of Experts on Immunization, or SAGE, and recommended use of this vaccine in 2 doses with a dose interval of 4 weeks in all age groups 18 and above, unquote. Now, Covaxin was found to have 78% efficacy against COVID-19 of any severity 14 or more days after the second dose, and is extremely suitable for low and middle income countries due to easy storage requirements. US President Joe Biden has said that there will be enough COVID-19 vaccines by next week for children, and these shots will be available at about 20,000 locations across the country. The US President added that it is a day of relief and celebration for parents all over the country. Meanwhile, US officials also announced that nearly 80% of adults had received at least one coronavirus vaccine jab, and almost 58% of American adults are fully vaccinated. The United States has started administering the COVID-19 vaccine to children from ages 5 to 11, the latest group to become eligible for the shots that provide protection against the illness.
For parents all over this country, this is a day of relief and celebration. After almost 18 months of anxious worrying every time your child had a sniffle or started to cough, well, you can now protect them from this horrible virus, because that would always worry you that was coming along. 28 million more young Americans are now eligible for the protection of a vaccine. And my administration is ready. We're ready from day one, today, organized and have a plan for this vaccination's launch.
Well, the U.S. began administering the COVID-19 vaccine to children ages 5 to 11. It's been the latest group to become eligible for the shots that provide protection against the illness. U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention recommended the Pfizer-BioNTech shot for broad use in that age group on Tuesday. Only a limited amount of the initial 15 million shots being distributed will be available on Wednesday. They're expected to be more widely accessible at pediatricians' offices, children's hospitals and pharmacies next week. The big national pharmacy chains Walgreens, Boots Alliance, CVS Health and Rite Aid are among those offering appointments for this weekend. The vaccine will provide an avenue for fewer quarantines or school closures and more normal activities and freedoms. Well, now moving on to a very different subject altogether. It's about N stuff. Well, Iran's senior nuclear negotiator Ali Bagheri Kani said that the Vienna nuclear talks for the revival of the 2015 nuclear deal will resume on the 29th of November, which is later this month. Iran has said the issue of lifting sanctions and the related parties' full implementation of obligations to the JCPOA will be the main agenda of the talks, which have been suspended since June following a shift in Iran's administration. That is, they had elections and the government changed. The main disagreement in Vienna has been over Iran's requirement for the United States to give guarantees that it would not renege on the nuclear agreement in the future. And now we're moving on to Afghanistan. Well, the UN Refugee Agency is distributing blankets and coal to help Afghans in the Afghan-Pakistan border area survive the winters. The United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees has started to airlift supplies to Kabul to help hundreds of thousands of displaced Afghans prepare for the cold winter ahead. While one chartered flight has already arrived in Kabul on Tuesday, 2 others are scheduled to arrive with aid later this week. The kits provide flooring and insulation, particularly for those living in makeshift dwellings. The UNHCR said it is rushing to provide winter assistance to some 50,000 Afghans, returnees and local host communities by the end of this year. However, it has already provided aid including shelter, food, blankets and stuffs to 18 million Afghans this year. And now we bring you some more updates from across the world in a quick wrap.
French President Emmanuel Macron on Wednesday hosted outgoing Chancellor Angela Merkel for a valedictory visit in an affectionate and stylish send-off. The German leader cheered by crowds and awarded France's highest honor as she bows out after 16 years in power. Rather than a state dinner at the Élysée Palace in Paris, Macron opted for a truly French experience by treating her to a visit to the heart of the Burgundy wine-growing region. The U.S. Senate has confirmed President Joe Biden's nominee for ambassador to Israel, making banking executive Thomas Nides the United States' top envoy to its closest ally in the Middle East. Nides, who's the managing director and vice chairman of Morgan Stanley, was confirmed by a voice vote in the Senate. Nides has also held senior positions at other major banks and served as Deputy Secretary of State for Management and Resources from 2010 to 2013. As climate change triggers deadly heat waves, droughts and floods, 3 UN agencies rolled out funding plans to improve weather forecasting in vulnerable countries. The new initiative, announced at the UN Climate Summit in Glasgow, aims to plug gaps in weather monitoring and data collection so developing countries can better prepare for possible climate-fueled disasters. Called the Systematic Observations Financing Facility, the initiative falls under global plans to provide $100 billion a year in climate financing to poorer countries. The number of deaths due to a landslide in the Colombian town of Malama has reached 14, while 6 people are still missing. The rescue teams continue to carry out search and rescue work in the area after the avalanche, which occurred as a result of heavy rains that have been registered in that rural municipality close to the border with Ecuador. Due to the rainfall, the municipalities of Malama are on alert and people living near rivers and slopes have been evacuated. At least 7 people were killed as a Belarusian-owned cargo plane crash-landed and burst into flames in Siberia after disappearing from radar. Russian aviation authorities said that the plane was completing a go-around in difficult weather conditions and lost communication. The regional governor also expressed grief. According to Belarusian authorities, there were 3 Belarusians, 2 Russians and 2 Ukrainians on board who all died. The video footage also showed rescuers battling to put out the flames in snowy conditions. Meanwhile, the Regional Russian Investigative Committee has filed a criminal case over violation of transport safety rules. World Today Desk, DD India.
And now we're taking a quick break right here on World Today, but we'll get you more, a lot of sports in fact, in just a bit. Stay with us.
As the day unfolds and news and events take shape, we get you complete coverage of every news breaking in, tracking new developments as they happen. Midday Prime English, Monday to Friday, 2 p.m. on DD India.
Welcome back. This is World Today. We're talking sports now, and in Champions League fixture, Liverpool swept into the last 16 of the Champions League with a comfortable win over 10-man Atletico Madrid that ensured they will finish top of Group B. Early goals by Diogo Jota and Sadio Mane, both created by Trent Alexander-Arnold, put the Reds in full command, and there was no way back for the Spanish side once Felipe was sent off before half-time. Jurgen Klopp's side should have dished out more punishment after the break, but missed a flurry of chances, and Jota had another strike ruled out for offside by the video assistant referee. Atletico thought they had pulled a goal back from a deflected shot by former Red striker Luis Suarez, but that too was chalked off for offside by VAR, and they never seriously threatened a comeback. As well as sending Liverpool through to the knockout stage with 2 games to spare, the win extends the Reds' unbeaten start to the season to 16 games. In total, they have not tasted defeat for 25 matches, dating back to the 6th of April, when they lost to Real Madrid in the quarterfinals of last season's Champions League. And Karim Benzema's double took Real Madrid top of Group D as they held off a spirited Shakhtar Donetsk side in the Champions League. Benzema tapped in the opener to record Real's 1,000th goal in European football's elite club competition. The French forward swept in a second following good work from Vinicius Jr. and Casemiro after Fernando had deservedly levelled for Shakhtar. Luka Modric twice had good opportunities to put the hosts in front early, but they dropped off the pace after Benzema turned home the opener courtesy of a shocking mix-up between visiting goalkeeper Anatoly Trubin and defender Marlon. Alan Patrick superbly chested the ball into Fernando's path for the equalizer, with the Brazilian forward lashing his effort past home goalkeeper Thibaut Courtois into the roof of the net. But Benzema's second of the evening from a glorious move proved decisive for the hosts, who have now won 4 of their last 5 matches in all competitions. Raheem Sterling ended his 12-game goal drought to wrap up an easy win for Manchester City over Club Brugge at Etihad Stadium. Sterling converted Ike Gundogan's cutback to score for only the second time this season and claimed his first Champions League goal in more than a year. City replaced Paris Saint-Germain at the top of Group A after the French side drew 2-2 to RB Leipzig and require a single point from their remaining 2 group games to seal a spot in the last 16 for the 9th successive season. By the final whistle, the City supporters' minds were already turning to their Saturday lunchtime trip to Manchester United, where they have lost only twice in 8 visits during Guardiola's time in charge. Now, Ajax maintained their 100% record as they came from behind to reach the last 16 of the Champions League with a hard-fought win at 10-man Borussia Dortmund. The result sees Ajax top Group C on 12 points, with second-place Dortmund on 6 points alongside Sporting Lisbon. Mats Hummels was sent off for the hosts, who went ahead from a Marco Reus penalty after a foul on Jude Bellingham. But Dusan Tadic, Sebastian Haller and Davy Klaassen scored for Ajax later on. Now we take a look at some of the next wonder kids across European football who are set to join elites of European football.
Florian Wirtz, Bayer Leverkusen. Described by German boss Hansi Flick as the complete package, Wirtz is on his way to having an incredible season after also making his international debut last month. Unsurprisingly, he has been dubbed as the new Kai Havertz after the former Leverkusen star, and some of Europe's biggest clubs are already queuing up in line for the attacking midfielder. He is German football's biggest talent coming through, and as long as he stays fit and healthy, then he is certain to have big future ahead of him. Eduardo Camavinga, Real Madrid. After impressing at Rennes, the 18-year-old sealed a £34 million summer move to Real Madrid after being linked to a host of other top European sides, including Manchester United. The gifted teenager is a complete midfielder who operates in deep area of the pitch but can contribute going forward. It will take time for him to fully break into Real Madrid squad, having started 3 of their 9 games across La Liga and the Champions League so far this season. But manager Carlo Ancelotti has said that he has been surprised by the impact that the youngster has already made, and he's got some of the world's top midfielders over the last decade to learn from Luka Modric, Toni Kroos and Casemiro. Nonu Madueke, PSV Eindhoven. England have a wide array of talented attacking wide players in their squad, but Madueke is one name who has been largely out of limelight playing in the Eredivisie. The 19-year-old winger enjoyed a breakthrough season in Netherlands last season, scoring 9 goals and registering 8 assists. He has started this season in a similar vein as he scored twice in 4-0 thrashing of rivals Ajax in the Johan Cruyff Shield final back in August. Madueke made his England under-21 debut back in March and has started to get buzz with clubs including Real Madrid, PSG, Liverpool and Tottenham, all set to be monitoring his progress. Ryan Gravenberch, Ajax. The 19-year-old Dutchman is the latest star to come through Ajax's prestigious youth academy after turning down the advances of Paris Saint-Germain as a 15-year-old. Gravenberch has been a regular in the side since last season, and his performances have led to talk of him being the next Paul Pogba. The Pogba comparison is understandable, with both 6 feet 3 inches tall central midfielder who look to be driving forces for their team, always looking for the forward pass or a run to start attacks. Both also share an agent in Mino Raiola, who could be busy in future over Grand Brecht, with some of Europe's top clubs keeping track of his progress over future move. Yusuf Moukoko, Borussia Dortmund. Borussia Dortmund have number of talented youngsters, including Jude Bellingham, who at 18 years old has emerged into a star midfielder who starts every game for Bundesliga side and has been called up by England a number of times over the last years. Another of their young stars is Moukoko, who made his Dortmund debut last November, a day after he turned 16. He scored an outrageous 141 goals in 88 youth team matches and has since gone on to net 3 times in 19 appearances at senior level, becoming the youngest scorer in Bundesliga history. Moukoko already has £9 million deal with Nike and is earmarked to be the future Ballon d'Or winner. Karim Adeyemi, Red Bull Salzburg. Red Bull Salzburg have had some talented striker in recent season, most notably Erling Haaland. Now they seem to have another star in 19-year-old Adeyemi. The Australian League isn't the toughest division, granted, but he is generating serious buzz after netting 3 goals in the Champions League. And it's no wonder Liverpool, Bayern Munich, Borussia Dortmund are said to be interested. There have been obvious comparisons to Haaland after their Salzburg connection, but he has also been labelled as the next Arjen Robben, who is a player Adeyemi described as his idol growing up. The forward recently scored on his debut for Germany, and it is heavily expected he will follow Haaland and Paston Daka out of the door to a top club in Europe should he continue the way he is going. Sports Desk, DD India.
And now we're motoring ahead of football into F1, where the Mexican Grand Prix is still a few days away, but Red Bull's Sergio Perez is already winning over the audience in his home country. Due to last year's pandemic-induced lockdowns, Mexico's latest F1 competition took place in 2019, with Mercedes' Lewis Hamilton rushing to first place. The Grand Prix at the Hermanos Rodriguez racetrack to the east of Mexico City starts on Friday with practice rounds and qualification on Saturday, leading up to the race on Sunday. Sergio Perez, the only Mexican driver on the starting grid, will compete at home for the first time since becoming a race winner in the 54 kg semi-final in Belgrade, Serbia today. The 21-year-old boxer made his way into the semi-finals after causing a major upset in the 21st edition of the tournament when he handed a crushing 5-0 defeat to Rio Olympic silver medalist and strong contender Joel Finol of Venezuela. Italian youngster Yannick Sinner was knocked out of the French Masters by rising Spanish force Carlos Alcaraz, complicating his efforts to qualify for the season-ending ATP Finals, which will be played between the top 8 men's singles players and doubles teams in Turin. Alcaraz's win over Sinner means Poland's Hubert Hurkacz is up to 8th position in the race to Turin after he beat American qualifier Tommy Paul in straight sets. And Russian second seed Daniil Medvedev concluded a busy day with a tight 7-5, 6-4 defeat of Ilya Ivashka after Germany's Alexander Zverev eased into the last 16 with a 6-3, 7-6 win over Serbia's Dusan Lajovic. British men's number 1 Cameron Norrie stayed in the hunt for an ATP Finals spot with a straight set victory over American Riley Opelka in Paris. Norrie won 6-3, 6-4 to reach the third round of the Masters event, which offers significant points in the race to reach the year-end finals. The 26-year-old will qualify if he manages to come through a strong field to triumph in the French capital. Norrie will face Taylor Fritz, who beat Andrei Rublev in the last 16. Now, Novak Djokovic marked his return to the singles court with a hard-fought win in his Paris Masters opener against Hungary's Martin Fucsovics. World number 1 Djokovic, who's 34 now, won 6-2, 4-6, 6-3 in his first singles match since Russia's Daniil Medvedev dashed his hopes of clinching a calendar Grand Slam in September's US Open final. And now let's bring you updates that really take you beyond headlines.
South African author and playwright Damon Galgut won the Booker Prize on Wednesday for his novel The Promise, about a white family's failed commitment to give their black maid a own home. It was Galgut's third nomination for the £50,000 English Language Literary Award. Starting in the mid-1980s and set just outside Pretoria, The Promise transitions through several decades and South African presidents. Galgut, who wrote his first novel at the age of 17, follows in the footsteps of past South African Booker Prize winners Nadine Gordimer and J.M. Coetzee. He has been nominated for the Booker Prize twice before, in 2003 for The Good Doctor and in 2010 for In a Strange Room. Slipknot fans created a huge blaze during a concert in Phoenix, Arizona. The show was paused for 30 minutes as the performers went off stage and firefighters extinguished the burnt-out lawn stairs that were piled in the middle of the crowd. According to eyewitness reports and videos on social media, the fire was about 30 feet tall, with fans circle pitting and cheering at the inferno. The spectacle was captured from all amphitheater angles. Diamond bracelets that belong to Marie Antoinette and rare colored diamonds will be on auction block in Geneva next week. A blue velvet box bearing a label, Bracelets of Queen Marie Antoinette, holds the double bracelets, each composed of 3 strings of diamonds and a large barrette clasp, with a total of 112 diamonds. The bracelets, now the property of a European royal family, are estimated to fetch $2 to $4 million at the November 9th sale. Marie Antoinette, who sent a letter from prison in the Tuileries in Paris that a wooden chest with jewels would be sent for safekeeping, was guillotined in 1793. Her surviving daughter, Mary Therese, Madame Royal, received the jewels on her arrival in Austria. An Israeli court suspended the auction of a partial tattoo kit billed as having been used on inmates at the Auschwitz death camp following outcry from Holocaust survivors. Obtained from a private collector, the 8 fingernail-sized steel dies, each lined with pins to form numerals, would have been pressed into prisoners' flesh with ink to brand their serial numbers, according to auctioneer Meir Zolman. Bidding reached $3,400 when Tel Aviv District Court granted a request by survivors to order the auction halted pending a November 16th hearing on whether it should proceed. Zolman's website was amended to show the sale has been suspended. World Today Desk, DD India.
Now, this is something that the world should really know all about, India's glorious fight for freedom, because we are in the year that we're celebrating the 75th year of India's independence, is one of the greatest struggles the people have to undertake, and modern world has to know about it as well. And today we're bringing some special stories for you. Take a look.
Born on November 4th, 1845 in Shirdhon village of Raigad district, Maharashtra, Phadke was moved by the plight of the farming community and believed that Swaraj was the only remedy for their sufferings.
He is popularly referred to as the father of Indian armed rebellion.
Despite being an employee of the military finance office in Pune, Phadke used to roam around the streets of Pune in Maharashtra during the mid-1870s with a thali and ladle in his hands and calling out, "Our country must be free and the Englishmen must be driven out."
On Sundays, he used to travel to neighboring areas of Panvel, Palaspe, Tasgaon and Narsobachiwadi to address the masses, and was apparently the first Indian to tour for public awareness, calling for the ouster of the British. On February the 20th, 1879, Phadke and his colleagues like Vishnu Gadre, Gopal Sathe, Ganesh Deodhar and Gopal Hari Karve declared the formation of their 200-strong militia outside Loni, 8 miles north of Pune. Phadke's team undertook some daring operations in the vicinity of Bombay and later in Konkan region.
In May 1879, Phadke issued his famous proclamation denouncing the exploitative economic policies of the British government. Copies of the proclamation were posted to the governor, collectors and other government officers.
The Times London on June the 3rd, 1879 carried a long editorial on the Phadke phenomenon. Later, when the Britishers tightened their grip, Phadke fled Maharashtra and tried to reorganize a fresh revolution with Rohilla and Sikhs in Nizam's forces, but his plans ended with his arrest on July the 20th, 1879.
Phadke was sent to a jail in Aden, Yemen, because the British feared the Indian public's reaction to his arrest. He died while on a hunger strike on February 17, 1883.
Vasudev Balwant Phadke died at the age of 37 years, but he paved the way for organized, armed movement for the independence of India. We also remember industrialist and Gandhian Jamnalal Kaniram Bajaj, who was born on the 4th of November 1889, founder of the Bajaj Group of Companies in 1920s. He was a close associate of Mahatma Gandhi, who is known to have often declared that Jamnalal was his fifth son.
Jamnalal believed in Mahatma Gandhi's vision that homemade goods were the answer to India's poverty. He gave up the title of Rai Bahadur conferred on him by the British government and joined the non-cooperation movement in 1921.
Later, in 1923, he participated in the Flag Satyagraha, defying a ban on flying the national flag in Nagpur, and was detained by the British forces.
He fought the non-admission of so-called untouchables into Hindu temples in his hometown of Wardha. As orthodox Hindu priests and Brahmins objected, he opened his own family temple, the Lakshmi Narayan Mandir in Wardha, for the so-called untouchables in 1928. In honor of his social initiatives, the Jamnalal Bajaj Award has been instituted by the Bajaj Foundation. We salute this great industrialist freedom fighter.
And now it's time for our special history segment. Today in history, let's take a look into what happened on this day in the past.
On this day in 1889, Jamnalal Bajaj, the founding father of the Bajaj Group, a philanthropist and freedom fighter, was born in Sikar, Rajasthan. On this day in 1936, Shakuntala Devi, acclaimed writer and mental calculator popularly known as human computer, was born in Bangalore. A child prodigy, she earned a place in the 1982 edition of the Guinness Book of World Records. On this day, UNESCO was established in 1946 as a specialized agency of the UN. Its first general conference was held on November 19, 1946 in Paris. It was on this day in 2001 that the first movie based on the best-selling Harry Potter books by J.K. Rowling had its world premiere in London.
What a memorable day that is. And that's all we have for the moment in this edition of World Today. But keep watching DD India for all the latest and have a very happy and safe Diwali.